What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a fantastic day. It's so great to see all your smiling faces. Oh, it's a beautiful day outside, isn't it? This is a fake YouTube style intro with fake energy. My name is Bogus Noog. I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Being Brute.
What's up, Brood? What's going on with you?
Hey, Bogus, everything is good. I'm feeling fantastic and I had a great week and I'm excited to be a part of this episode too. And also, I'm super elated that you are having this energy in this episode. I hope that this energy continues. God bless you.
Yeah, it's not going to continue. There's no way.
We had to break the flow at some time.
Yeah, I almost lost like 70% of my battery just trying to do that. Oh, God. Anyways, welcome everyone to yet another episode of the ThyGap podcast. The most important thing, of course, we get it out of the way right at the beginning. The whole reason why we record these.
We are talking about the socials. And to start off the list, Instagram
is @_ThyGap.
Then we have Twitter
@ThyGap.
And then we have our email ID.
And it's mindthygap@gmail.com.
And we have this unwanted account, which is a bonus. That is the Facebook account.
Which is,
Yeah, you can just search ThyGap and you'll get it. It's not a big deal. Yeah. But anyways, Bogus.
Yo.
Let's bring back the energy as we are going into the forceful part of our episode. Where we have to talk intelligently.
Yeah, the filler.
The filler part of the episode, which generally goes for 1.5 hours, and we got so many complaints that we have to reduce to 1 hour 25 minutes.
Which we have been doing since the season 2 starting.
Yeah. We have shown a tremendous amount of change.
And improvement.
That it's questionable, debatable, but still tremendous amount of change when we moved from the 1 hour 30 minutes to 1 hour 25 minutes segment. How do you feel, Bogus?
I feel excited, rejuvenated, lubricated. I can't think of any other words.
Yes, I feel a little gassy, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Feelings have nothing to do with the outcome. You have to just grind it out. So tell me, Bogus, anything. You can tell anything.
There's been a trend, bro, over the years. And I hated it when it even started, which is this prefix of the Great Indian something. You know, it's either Great Indian Laughter Show or Laughter Challenge or Great Indian Shopping Festival. I watched that Laughter Challenge.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great. It wasn't Great Indian.
Yeah.
I went to that shopping festival.
Yep.
It wasn't great.
Disappointment again.
It wasn't Great Indian anything.
Yeah.
So this prefix I found did not really fit anything. Every time anyone says the Great Indian something, you should be prepared to be disappointed, basically.
Yeah, those are red flags for me too.
Yeah.
Whenever they say unnecessary, first of all, great is used too loosely. So it's not just India, but anywhere if they say great.
Yeah.
Like, oh, great discounts or this is a great opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, whenever a recruiter comes and tells me that, oh, this is a great opportunity with our company. And I'm like,
Yeah, already checked out, zoned out.
It's crossed. I'm like, garv. So that great isn't, it's used loosely and you shouldn't fall for it.
Absolutely. And these kind of valuable insights you can only get on the greatest podcast ever, which is the ThyGap podcast that you're listening to right now. Follow, subscribe, and share. The only thing that I really found the Great or the Great Indian prefix to be matching is the mob.
The Great Mob.
The Great Mob or the Great Indian Mob. That's where it fits.
Is the Great Mob related to the Italian Mafia?
No.
Okay. Then I don't know about the Great Mob.
So the mob that I'm talking about is not as organized as the Italian Mafia and has much worse fashion sense. If you can.
What is fashion sense to do with it?
Italians, you know.
Oh, Italians have great. Oh, when compared to Italians, you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it is much worse.
Yeah.
I don't think we should even compare to start off with.
Absolutely. So the reason why we're talking about the mob is because obviously if it's a ThyGap podcast, we are going to talk about something that is not being addressed as much.
Not openly spoken about.
But it needs to have a light shined on it. And the mob is definitely one of those topics. Going into the 21st century, a mob is something that none of us can escape. Previously we thought
You're talking about mob as with a pandemic.
it is in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And previously we thought, it's just related to areas with high population density. So urban areas in India or maybe China. Or
I think
whatever.
you're running through this too fast.
No,
I
I'm
wanna
just saying.
Break your flow. What do you mean by a mob?
So a mob,
See, I asked tough questions, bogus.
no, you just broke my flow.
Oh, okay.
That's it. A mob, if for the purpose of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
the definition we're using for the mob is this unruly group of people where the very fact that there is anonymity is taken a huge advantage of, undue advantage of, and where people tend to surface their worst impulses, their worst instincts out onto the scene, basically.
Good definition. Go back to your flow.
Previously, like I said, there was a time where the mob was only looked at in a physical sense,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that India is so densely populated, our default state is a mob. We are never not in a mob.
Yeah.
We're always in a mob, but it's largely peaceful. It's just a
Harmless.
gathering of
It's harmless mob.
gathering of
We're a
people.
bunch of harmless mob. You go to a vegetable market, we are in a mob. You go to the railway station, we are in a mob.
Yeah.
But we're all harmless.
It's all harmless. It's all peace-loving people. So that's good. That's the only way. That's the only reason, we're getting by
Yeah.
every day. But now when you talk about these mobs, these unruly mobs that kind of become like a storm that destroys everything in its path, if you are someone who's been in that situation, or if you know someone, right, who's been in that situation, if you ask them to describe what it's like, then it's kind of like, just before it rains, how you can smell that
Mud.
the earth,
The earth smell, yeah.
one of the best smells ever.
Yeah, so you... Mm-hmm.
But also you feel that the atmosphere itself is slightly electric. Like imagine just before a lightning thunderstorm,
Mm-hmm.
the elements kind of shift.
Yeah, they become aggressive.
They become aggressive, and you feel the potential for energy or potential for outburst. Like something is going to happen. That's
The only thing that happens in my house when it's about to rain is they send me out to bring the clothes in.
yeah.
That's the only thing that happens. So I don't know how that's a peaceful act.
That's a peaceful thing because you're indoors.
Yeah, but the clothes are out. You try to dry the clothes and you have to bring it back. And you have to do it before the first drop of the rain falls.
Right. So there is that sense of urgency,
Yeah.
right? That you have to do this
Wrap
quick.
up things.
You have to rush.
Yeah.
Similarly, if you're ever caught in a crowd, in a group of people, a large group of people where things go haywire, like there's violence breaking out or something like that.
You're asking me that question?
No, I'm just saying, if you're there,
The closest that I could relate to a mob was when I went to this temple and there were about like 400 or 500 people in about like 1,000 square feet trying to take a glimpse of, do the darshan and all.
yeah,
And, there is a stipulated time when the window opens, right? Where, they open the doors and they show you the idol and all that.
yeah,
People were literally physically aggressive. I wouldn't say violent,
yeah,
but they're so aggressive just to get about 3 inches closer or to have like a better glimpse
yeah.
of the idol. And I'm like, this is so unnecessary.
Yeah, I've been in those situations as well. But
That's the closest I've been to like a mob experience.
for the sake of our episode, we're talking about a much more escalated situation where, violence.
Like a bigger temple. Like go to Tirupati and see what happens there.
Like, violence is breaking out, or there are some elements that are instigating things, So if I have to give examples, right, for better understanding, 1984, after our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was assassinated, the news spread very quickly that it was her guards who were Sikhs, who assassinated her.
Yeah.
And immediately after that, word spread around and there started rioting. There were riots in the city in response to the shock of the
Prime
unexpected...
Minister's death.
Yeah, and in Delhi, where it started, the rioting immediately started targeting Sikhs.
Yeah.
Anyone they could see, right? And another situation was Gandhi's assassination.
There was riots.
Yeah, there were riots. So
There was a violent follow-up of the most non-violent guy's death.
I mean, he was
So
assassinated, and father of the nation, etc. So
Yeah, so the followers should have taken like a non-violent path, right?
oh no, different different routes. But there was rioting, and Brahmins were targeted.
What?
En masse? Yeah,
Seriously?
This is not known.
I didn't know this.
Recently in US, you know how the Black Lives Matter thing started
Yeah.
as a protest against
That's
someone's
an episode I saw.
unjustified police brutality, etc.
Yeah.
But that soon snowballed into whole another.
Yeah. Everybody started raising their hands.
And
But there was vandalism that happened, right?
oh, vandalism is like a cute way to describe it.
The other thing that
They
I've seen,
destroyed.
the other civil unrest that I've seen was in Venezuela. I mean, Venezuela as a country is going through some horrible crisis.
It was the collapse of communism.
Yeah. So, I mean, even there was a huge riots and shortage of food. People just barging into things and picking up whatever they want and stuff like that.
Yeah, and what happened even more recently in South Africa, where the previous president was sent to jail for corruption charges, and because of that, previous president's followers started agitations, and that soon snowballed into riots. People looting supermarkets, any place of business. They were just looting the farms. They were taking farm animals, and this is where it came close quarters to the Indians living there as well. As you may know, Indians are a minority population there, but wealthy population.
Like whichever country we go,
Yeah.
it's a norm.
So the looters started targeting residential areas as well, and so the Indians had to resort to use arms to protect themselves. And in that exchange, some lives were lost, African lives, South African lives. And so that again invited another backlash against Indians, that they killed, us without mercy, without this and that.
Yeah.
And there's a huge thing even going on right now. So basically, I'm talking about these kind of situations where mobs break out. The primary reason for this episode, why are we talking about physical mobs? Maybe you may be located in a place where this is not a problem for you, but unfortunately, in the 21st century, this is something you cannot escape. It is a phenomenon that is now going to be a part of our lives, because for places that are highly densely populated, obviously the scope of a physical mob is always ever present. But even for places with less population density, you have now what we're seeing is virtual mobs, where internet, social media, it's just allowing people to congregate together quickly, pass on messages quickly. Chinese whispers spread at a much faster pace.
And they're well protected.
And the mob hounds you, trolls you, doxes you, and just harasses you out of your job, out of your livelihood.
I find virtual mobs to be a lot more potent or dangerous than like a physical mob.
Okay. Why?
So the physical mob is restricted in terms of the area they can cover. For example, they can only create X amount of impact. Suppose, 30 people start vandalizing. They can't vandalize any faster than their whole potential.
I honestly feel that we don't need to make a comparison between the two as to which is more damaging, because what happens in a physical mob, whoever that mob touches or negatively impacts, their lives are completely changed. The amount of lawlessness that happens in these physical mobs, the lives of your close ones are lost, or whatever, your life is just completely changed, and that not only impacts you, possibly impacts your generations that come after you as well. So in that sense, the impact is really huge. I don't disagree with whatever impact statement you gave for the virtual mobs. That is definitely a problem as well. But what I wanted to kind of bring together is that together these two are a big problem.
Right. Any mob is a problem.
And it's not something anyone in the world can avoid.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say Bhutan is one of the least sparsely populated countries in the world.
Highest happy index.
But even they cannot escape a virtual mob. So it's really important to talk about how these mobs behave, what makes them tick, and maybe understanding this better enables someone to deal with it in a better way. That's the whole thing. And it all comes down to human behavior and crowd dynamics, right?
Okay.
Like how
I thought you were going to refer one of our old episodes.
Oh, no. No. No plugs this time.
Oh, shit.
So crowd dynamics, which is, have you noticed that whenever we are in crowds or in groups, our overall intelligence degrades exponentially?
One of the examples that I've seen, if I can give you, which I've seen in live, is I went to this IPL match, which was between, back in the day, Deccan Chargers and RCB. And there was this brawl between about a total of 40-50 people, which started off in one stand.
Okay.
Which turned out where they had to empty the stand because everybody joined in.
Right.
They just I don't know, they just joined in and they started hurling abuses, punching each other, or throwing stuff at each other, whatever they could grab their hands with, grab with their hands. And I was like, why? And I can only imagine how it could be if it was a serious issue.
One of the truisms of life is that human stupidity, is a force of nature. Honestly, if you seriously think about it, human stupidity is one enemy you do not want to have. You cannot win. You cannot ever.
Think we are the epitome of oxymorons, right? We are the most intelligent species who think very hard to act stupid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it only gets elevated when we are in a group.
Oh, it gets much worse. The collective IQ of the entire group just degrades, if not exponentially, then,
it is exponentially.
It's either that or is the Fibonacci, this expression. But it's not just IQ, it's also our baser animalistic instincts find it much more easier to surface, than our better versions of ourselves. When we are in large groups, it becomes very tough to control. Otherwise we would have scenarios like the Roman Colosseum would be a bunch of people cheering on a poor guy, who's making it in life.
Yeah.
Or, a kid who's learning to run.
Yeah.
Everyone is happy because a kid's walking and now they're running and now they're doing gymnastics. No.
There would be no thumbs down.
There would be no thumbs down.
Yeah.
No, the Roman Colosseum is where people wanted blood.
Yeah.
They wanted gore. They wanted guts. They wanted blood to splash on their face in the gallery. And
that is mass sadism.
That amount of bloodlust that was there, it is not just unique to that time. It is ingrained in people. It exists even today. And I honestly believe that. It's just when we get in groups, that sort of animalistic nature, it rears its head. Whether it's a virtual group or a physical group. But what is causing it? The one connecting thing you see is the absolute lack of accountability, right? Where in a physical group also, when there's a mob breaking out, why do people enthusiastically sometimes join it? It's because if they had to act individually, they have accountability. People can point and say, this guy is acting crazy.
Yeah.
This guy hacked that guy to pieces right in front of me. And he gets thrown in jail.
Right.
Done. His life is done. But when there's a mob that breaks out, now it's all open season. Now no one knows who's responsible for this mess. No one knows who to blame, who to, hold accountable. So that is the advantage you take.
The system fails.
Yeah. That anonymity is the advantage you take and you just go haywire. And that's what fuels this mob. Similarly,
so you're saying, let me stop you for a second. You've been going on for a long time. You're saying that everybody subconsciously is looking for an opportunity where all bets are off and they can just like burst out openly.
No, not everybody, but it's like a section of our population, like section of people. They are going to be like willing aggressors. Like they will start the whole aggression thing in a mob situation by themselves. It could just be a few handful of people starting it. And then there'll be the imitators or the mimics or the followers who will join in. Then there'll be the other section where in real life they would be cowards, absolute cowards. They would not be able to stand their ground. They would not be able to fight for what they believe in. None of that. But a mob,
given a chance,
gives them that comfort,
yeah,
convenience, where they can do whatever they want and they don't have to bear any responsibility. And I feel that this group of people is far worse.
Because that's pent up, this thing coming out.
The pent up thing, when it comes out, they do unspeakable things.
Yeah.
We don't
want to look inside their head.
Oh, no. And there's enough examples in history. I don't want to go into that. But these guys, when they come out...
Don't start motivating people unnecessarily, bogus.
Yeah.
That on the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. We are a peaceful podcast.
So it's a lack of accountability, even if you look at it in virtual sphere, right? Yeah. On the internet.
Yeah.
It's the whole anonymity.
Yeah. I think that is... it speaks of... I mean, I know we've discussed this, but this kind of points at multiple things, which the digital platform or the social media kind of gives unknowingly that power to the user.
Yeah.
Right? Where it very easily helps you mask your identity. And it very easily allows you to infiltrate anybody's personal space and start creating ruckus there.
Yeah.
Which is why I find virtual mobs to be a lot more dangerous, because one, the aggressor is safe.
Yeah.
And he's untraceable, or
faceless,
nameless. So he's well protected.
Yeah.
The aggressor is well protected. But the victim or whoever is being attacked, they lose a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They lose mental peace. They feel harassed. They they get judged by their own families and friends and, the close ones. This domino effect that happens.
Yeah.
Which is why I find that it's worse than death, right?
Yeah.
Like with death, like I die in a crossfire of a mob, my parents will cry, my family will cry, and that's about it. Like I've had the worst, loss per se. But in a case of a virtual mob crossfire, and I get caught in that because of some random comment, right? Or whatever. I might sometimes not even be participating in anything.
Yeah.
And I'll just be a victim of it, right? And that I have to live with it.
Yeah.
And that will dismantle my social life
Yeah.
in the real world.
And no one's waiting for due process. No one's waiting for evidence or proof.
Yeah.
Just slander is good enough.
Yeah. And you're being judged immediately. And the verdict is given out.
Yep.
Right? And unfortunately, the verdict that wins is always the one which is not in your favor.
Yeah.
Because I think innately we want somebody to be bad, so that, we can focus or divert our energies to the fact that, like you said, right? Like I want somebody to blame my worst things on. And also in a group dynamic, the negativity is always easier absorbed to surface faster. Yeah. Right. So that's my reason of why virtual mob is a lot more dangerous. And I think there are examples of orchestrated attack. Yeah. Right? Multiple of them, which is so scary to even listen. The thing is, even physical mobs are quite often orchestrated, because... I'm sure. Yeah. See, virtual mob is basically mimicking your physical mob, right? Yeah. But only the means are different. If we were to, just as a thought experiment, if all the social media accounts had to have some personal identification where no one can be anonymous, nobody would pull any of this shit that they're doing online. In the real world, how we converse with each other, and we just say, hi, hello, okay, bye. We're not like, I'll kill you, you bastard. It's like those complete strangers. Yeah.
Nobody would be doing that because accountability is there. Because
Yeah.
everyone knows if I say something,
Yeah.
they know where to find me. They know who I am.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, we can't do that because that would be a dystopia as well. Because the reason why we have social media, the reason why we have internet is also for privacy and anonymity.
I mean, yeah, you go there to do such things, and not like, harass or something, but you go there because you want to enjoy a little privacy.
No, it's like, if you learn how to split an atom, you can make nuclear reactors and you
Right.
can get energy for years and years.
Right.
Or you make a bomb and you completely
It's about
decimate.
how you use it. Correct.
So whenever you try to bring a new power into the world, right, it's always can be used for good. It can be used for evil.
Yeah, they always have the yin yang.
Yeah.
The yin yang come inbred with every new system.
I feel the conversation more has to be about how can we coach each other or spread awareness among each other as to how to deal with. Let's start with a virtual mob because physical mobs are near impossible. Virtual mobs, like trolls,
Don't react.
Most of the times it is as simple as that. So it's like with the virtual mob, right? One aspect, like you said, when someone is trolling you, the best thing you can do is, of course, not
React.
bother,
Yeah.
not care about it, especially if it is anonymous. Doubly don't care about it.
Yeah.
Because you stand to lose more if you're not anonymous yourself. And like if your account is tagged to your employer, you're mentioning clearly, oh, I work here,
Yeah.
all that bullshit you're doing on social media, then you should be even more careful. So from the perspective of the individual, there's a way to deal with this.
Right.
But when there's a virtual mob that comes to you, trying to dox you, trying to tag your employer, trying to get you to lose your account or lose your job, then there have to be some consultancy groups or something like that which go around coaching companies, how to deal with this because it's relatively new. The one thing is companies tend to be very anti-conflict. It's like, why should we have to deal with this nonsense? When in reality, it's always just a vocal minority. It's not really, social media makes it look like, oh, all these people are having issues with my company. Now my stocks are going to tank and all that. No, these people don't affect anything actually, like the bottom line in real world. So
I think companies are, okay, yeah, complete the point.
If you had consultancy group or, if these companies can be educated as to how this really works, it's just a vocal minority. If you don't respond or say anything, then it goes away because attention spans are like nowadays, it's like nothing.
Because you'll have somebody or something that is more exciting every second minute.
Yeah, nowadays our attention spans make goldfishes look like elephants.
Yeah,
in terms of
their memory power.
In terms of the retention and all that. So you just let it be; it goes away, or you can scrutinize further to see if the employee has said anything about the company. If that is what is controversial. Now, if the employee has said something which is his personal opinion, has nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah.
And if other people are trying to do guilt by association.
Moral policing.
Yeah, like how can you hire this guy? He said this.
How can he even have a job?
Horrible thing and all that.
Yeah.
The company should be, boss, that's nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
We are not associated with that.
Right.
It's his personal life. If he said something about the company, then we come into the picture,
I think companies are already doing that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, at least the few companies that I've heard of, where such cases have come out. But this was mostly done by internet. It's not like a mob attack or anything. But somebody being highlighted for what he or she said on their personal accounts on a different context, in the form of a comment or like passing, mostly in a form of comments, right, to some other post or whatever. The two cases that I know, that these companies actually went deep just to understand what was the stand of the person. They had an actual conversation with that person, trying to understand his side, that person's side of the story. And they took a call that, it's harmless, basically. So, but yes, I think majority of them can't do that. And for the reason why I think it's not as easy as it's said is because you need a lot of infrastructure and manpower to tackle these kind of things. Which is why I think companies just like, it's easier to like give the pink slip.
I feel like a lot of it is just conflict avoidant. It's just like, why do we have to deal with this?
Because it's a lot of investment and time consuming.
It seems that way because I think there is no proper framework or outline as to how to immediately arrive at a decision. See, any company, right? Big company, if you can come up with an SOP that clearly removes subjectivity out of it to some extent, then companies are very happy to operationalize it, execute it.
Somebody has to start it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, for example, an SOP for a PR guy for a big company could look like if a mob comes and says, are you still going to keep hiring this guy? Are you still going to pay this guy when he said such despicable things? So the SOP would start off by saying...
And the despicable thing would be like, I don't like red shirts.
Something like that, yeah. And so the PR guy's SOP would just start saying, like, first of all, what they said, has it anything to do with the company at all or not?
Yeah.
So yes or no. If it is yes, then okay, it gets a little gray, murky. But if it is no, that's one foot out of the thing for the company already. This has nothing to do with us. Go fuck off. Who are you? Like our job is to do this.
Yeah, they have to take away the weapon that they come in with.
Yeah, and the other thing is...
the guilt trip that they try to put everybody on.
Some of the major companies, like they are coming up with social media guidelines for their employees.
Yeah.
But nowadays, what it looks like in its current form is just very restrictive.
Yeah, it's basically about don't do this.
Just don't say shit.
Yeah, don't say this.
Every morning.
Don't react to this.
Yeah.
Don't post this, etc.
Every morning you can say good morning.
Yeah. And in the evening you can say good day.
Good day.
That's it.
Yeah.
End your day. Like, yeah, I think the problem is the volatility on the virtual platform. Companies, if it's a big enterprise, imagine you trying to tap, say, a 10,000 employee company, and you're trying to tap the social activity of 10,000 employees.
Right.
It gets so very ridiculously tough. The other problem is, like we mentioned in the beginning, you go to the virtual platforms for your anonymity or your privacy, blah blah blah. Now if companies start saying that, hey, you know what, we want to know where all you are so that we can just keep like a eye on you, just in case something happens, we just know that what you've been doing, then you lost that privacy.
Yeah.
Right? You lost that anonymity. So that's like the paradox of how companies can, or that's where I see the huge problem of companies dealing with this. So instead of doing all this labor, the easiest thing for them is to like cut out a pink slip, if in case something of this happens.
Exactly.
They work with the presumption that it will not happen.
Yeah.
And when it happens, we'll do the worst case scenario. Like, let that person go.
So I know, I agree. And some more of what these guidelines can look like is don't mention your employment anywhere on your profile if you want to maintain that separation from your company and your personal social media profile.
There are cases where they say create a different account.
Yeah. Whatever. And the other thing is put a disclaimer saying views are mine only, not associated be very explicit. Say that on your bio.
Yeah.
And then you say whatever you want and you'll be free from our bullshit. So, but these things, they're not really operationalized because they've not been made into an SOP, like a framework. And any big company, as you know, they love their SOPs and their frameworks. So it just takes, like you said, someone to start it.
Someone to crack it.
Basically. Crack it, but at least as a starting point, it has to be clear. Like if people are complaining about someone to their employer, the employer has to just see if it has anything to do with the company in the first place or not. If it has something to do with them, then okay, they might step in and take a decision.
Which is where I'm saying that it's not as easy said than done.
No, there it gets subjective. I know. But at least because majority of the times, the tweets or whatever, the Facebook posts or whatever, would not be about the company. It would be about personal opinions.
Yeah.
And that's what these people have. Basically, all they care is, this mob, all they care is, we don't like something that you did. We want you to hurt.
Suffer.
We just want you to feel the pain.
Yeah.
And how can we deliver the pain? This way.
Yeah.
Get you socially ostracized.
It is a new age it's a new way of attack. Like, it was cyberbullying previously, and today it is like harassment almost. And now it is actually costing lives of people.
Yeah, and it's going to social boycott, which is honestly the worst thing.
Like, I'll not give you any likes, and I'm supposed to be like, oh my God.
No, it's like social boycott is whatever your social circle is, right? They influence them and they pressurize them to cut ties with you.
Yeah, I mean...
And that's it. You're isolated. And that's one of the worst things you can do to a human being.
Yes. I think we spoke about this too.
Yeah.
In one of our previous episodes.
Yeah. So related episodes would be...
worst form of punishment is to just isolate them. Disown that person.
Yeah. There was even a recent unfortunate case in India, where some, I think, WhatsApp group, or it was some social media group of young kids, and they were sharing pictures of girls in their school or college or something like that, and that got leaked out.
Yeah.
And one guy was wrongfully accused. And obviously no one's going to wait for due process. No one's going to wait for evidence.
Yeah.
So all the public verdict giving and all was done. This guy was tarnished. He took his own life. Dude. He is not even 20. He was like 16, 17 something.
It can happen. Because I think that's the age where you are kind of establishing your social status or like your social worth.
Yeah.
So if at that age, if it gets hurt, then you basically don't see a future.
And you're also a bit confused about your reality.
Yeah.
Like your reality
there is no reality, right?
It's in flux.
It's like you're living in a delusional optimism of everything is going to be fantastic when I grow up.
Yeah. No, it's also things like not getting the right measure of things, which is if you fail your exam, you think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And some people take their lives for that.
Yeah. Because that's how it's been portrayed to them.
It feels like that to them, right? Like there's nothing worse than this. But it's not the reality. But the problem is there's a term called hyper reality. This is something adults suffer with now, which is because of social media, because of fake news, because of, biased pockets of information and offering their own perspectives. They don't allow any dissenting voices to come in.
Right.
Because of that, what happens is there are multiple fragmented realities.
Yeah.
In such a way that people are just happy to have that virtual construct.
The delusional
thing, and they just go with that. So social media, if something happens to them, if there's a mob or they get trolled, etc., they take it so much to heart. It affects them so much because that becomes such a big part of their reality when it's all virtual.
Yeah.
It's just like saying if I'm playing a video game, a Grand Theft Auto game, and if I die in the game, now I feel like I've died in real life. It's as ridiculous as that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
The simple solution, again, I think the problem with the world is it doesn't laugh enough.
That's true, yeah.
I think we should learn how to laugh at things, irrespective of how serious or elementary they are. If you can do that, then a lot of things will be sorted for you.
And what killed it? It was PC. It was the whole PC movement that killed the laughter.
Yeah. PC. I mean, I don't know these terms, but I know for I know for sure that we became a lot more sensitive for unnecessary things.
Yeah, that was the basic groundwork.
Yeah.
Because once you do that, then you can't laugh about too many things. You can't make jokes about too many things.
I mean, the shocking thing is the fact that you feel that you'll offend somebody by laughing at something is horrible to imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever happened to laughing is contagious. Like, laughter is the best medicine and all this crap.
Yeah.
And you just don't get that sense.
It's a venting mechanism, right?
Yeah.
That's how you dissipate
I was reading a
your
stats
frustrations.
the other day that an average baby up till 2.5 years or some number laughs 40 times a day. Okay? An average adult, guess how many times he laughs a day? 4 to 7 times a day.
Oh, okay.
Which is like, look at the drop.
Yeah. I think comedians laugh even lesser than that.
Yeah. Comedians are not even given a chance to laugh.
because they have to deliver.
They have to make people laugh.
They have to make people laugh.
Yeah. And I can only imagine that even if they're laughing inside their head.
Yeah.
Like, do comedians even laugh inside their head? I feel so bad. Comedians are a dying breed.
And that's a bad omen for the world.
That's the red flag. So let us get into the next episode where we talk about how do we save comedians. Like, that's where my mob will be coming for.
Theirs is a painful existence. Just kill them and be done with it. save them the trouble and the misery.
Give the pink slip. Damn it.
Yeah.
They tried to kill my father, bitches.
Oh, the one thing that we forgot to mention, which is the other unfortunate thing that we notice, like people usually tend to take some sort of security from law enforcement, right? Like if something goes wrong, we have the law enforcement. How many situations in the recent past in India have we noticed where a mob goes berserk and the law enforcement is basically watching as if it's a movie? And it's not just India,
Anywhere.
The riots in US.
It just comes out more in India because our law enforcement is insufficient for our population, if I'm not wrong.
No, that's there's one thing that is true, but also even when there's a mob going wild in a small area, right?
Yeah.
And you can get more law enforcement there, they still end up watching a movie for some reason. And
I have an explanation, but you may not like it.
In the US also, the rioting that happened, now US law enforcement is pretty well shored up.
Yeah.
They just stood by and watched. They just let it happen. And South Africa, they not only let it happen,
they participated.
So there were some cops, you could see they came down in their vans, they were in their uniform, loading up tissue paper, jam bottles, It's
such
like
low targets.
Along with the population. And this is what happens. Like if anyone listening has any sort of, sense of security because of law enforcement, in isolated cases, they might be useful. But when it's a mob,
no.
I
know why Indian police kind of not really come on time. That's because of the influence of the Hindi movies, where the police guy always just comes when the hero is losing his willpower to not kill the villain. That's when the police come and like, कानून के अपने हाथ में मत लेना ठाकुर. हम आगे हैं.
Yeah. Oh, so while this guy was rampaging around and killing everyone, that's fine.
That's fine.
Now when I'm killing him,
that's when the police are like, we have law. Okay, yeah. You gotta follow the law.
Yeah, so that he gets a bail and he walks out. Beautiful. I was thinking maybe another reason what I do, or a friend, a good friend of mine does, in the corporate world, which is if someone reaches out, pings at odd hours outside of his office hours, then they say, hey, are you there? And it's like, it's public knowledge that, my office, it's public knowledge that,
his office,
my good friend's office hours are from one time to another time. So if you're reaching out, messaging late in the night,
he would be busy.
He may not respond.
He has a life.
Yeah. So what I do is I tend to not respond, obviously.
Why are you responding to your friend's job pings?
No, not. Oh, exactly. That's a great point. It's like,
I think a friend doesn't respond.
No, he's a very close friend of mine. So
it's almost like a twin.
It's almost like it's just me, but my friend, who I grew up.
My good friend.
I grew up with him since childhood. So
the batteries are going down.
Yeah, my friend basically, he just waits for a while, and sometimes even if they ping during office hours, he just waits.
He still waits
because human tendency,
and he has to practice waiting.
Yeah, no, my friend is aware of human tendency, so he just gives it like an hour or two. If it's within office hours, hour or two.
Yeah.
If it's outside office hours, 18 hours later, respond. Hey, I just saw you ping me. Did you need something? That's what he says.
Yeah.
Did you need something, by the way? It's like, oh, no, it's okay. I reached out to someone else and they helped me out. It's like, I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Man. Have a great day.
We are happy to know your problem has been solved.
Yeah.
Why did you give this example once again?
For the law enforcement, why do they just...
Got it. Yeah.
Hey, you called us? Yeah, we
Yeah,
just...
wait for...
we just came. Yeah.
the wait for the hero to rise. I think that's how... So law enforcement's untold job, KRA, is to create more heroes within the public.
That's
so that, say... somebody drowning in the river. I think they just wait in a van from a distance, and they're like, is there anybody jumping to save him? And then the moment they jump, these guys are like, chalo, let's go there. And then like, you're a hero, bro.
Yeah.
You saved this man's life.
Help us.
Help
you to help us.
Help us.
Yeah. You're really on your own.
Just be aware that they are unaware.
Exactly.
That's such a crazy line.
So in summation, this is not something that there's a solution to,
Yeah.
but awareness is half the battle won. And just be aware that a virtual mob, a physical mob, whatever it is, it's right around the corner. No one is escaping this shit. It is the 21st century way of life now.
And with that
piece of good news,
we would want to know if there is something that we didn't know about dealing with mobs.
Have you ever been in a situation where, a mob broke out? Have you ever been caught in the middle of that storm?
Yeah.
Write into us. We really want to know like what went on and what was your experience like. Yeah, at mindthygap@gmail.com. That's where you can reach us. And if you have any other suggestions as well, of maybe addressing this problem, let's start with the virtual thing because the physical thing is near impossible. So
at least you live in one of the worlds.
Yeah, I mean, it's more likely that we get attacked by a virtual mob than a physical mob. Most of us.
Yeah.
Right. So...
And beware of the phishing scams. I don't know why I said that. I just thought it was relevant for the virtual world.
We're just adding value. That's what we do.
That's always.
Yeah. So, Brood, as with every episode, before we wind up, what do we say?
ThyGap. Subscribe.
And share.
Okay. You are not going anywhere without, following us on our socials. Instagram @_ThyGap, Twitter @ThyGap, and Facebook ThyGap it is. Or why not write email to us, mindthygap@gmail.com. For other people who only use Apple, you can also give us a rating and leave a comment on our ThyGap podcast. Because you know what all doctors say, ThyGap podcast. Subscribe and share.